Welcome back to the Chad Hasty Show on News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. Early voting continues. You only got a couple more days to get out and vote early, and we encourage you to do so if you've made up your mind, if you know who you're going to vote for. Of course, Election Day next Tuesday, and we'll have KFYO election coverage that night. Hopefully the results will come in fairly early, but you never know. Joining me in studio, Republican candidate for Lubbock County Judge, Karen Gibson, back on the show. Welcome back.
Thank you.
Well, final couple of days of early voting. I'm sure you've been out and talking to people and block walking and doing all the election type stuff. What's the mood like out there? How do you feel the campaign's going?
Mood's good. Campaign's good.
Yeah. What is it still pay raises and roads and safety that everyone's talking about?
Yeah. All the same stuff. All the same.
When you have, because, of course, this seems like a lot of this race has boiled down to experience and what each person can bring to this job as far as, you've talked a lot about the budget. One of your opponents talks a lot about the judicial side of things. The people you talk to, which side are they more concerned about? Are they concerned about the judicial side of things?
I'll answer that in a minute, but let's talk about something else really quick. And before I answer that, I think there's something that needs to be asked. And that is, what kind of deal did Gary Boren cut with the U.S. attorney to resign instead of being prosecuted for his dealings with Ted Parker? I think that's a question that someone needs to ask and that should be being asked.
Okay. Well, do you want to talk about that?
Yeah, I do. I have information that Gary cut and ran, literally. We all know that's true. No one quits 10 months into their term unless they're afraid of something. And I believe he was afraid of criminal prosecution. And I think that needs to be being asked. And no one's asking that question.
Well, I mean, that's a pretty serious charge. So what do you believe he was going – okay, expand on that. Because since you're bringing it up, what do you think he was going to be prosecuted for? What information do
Chad,
you have?
I have been on counsel for 8 years, and the FBI has never been involved in anything that I've been involved in. Never. They've never asked for my files. They've never asked for my emails, ever.
And so
I think you don't quit. You don't run a campaign and run it hard to get elected and then quit 10 months into your term to go fix a business. Do you not know your business is in trouble for 10 months? I mean, that doesn't happen.
So you're not buying his reasons for resigning at all?
I am not buying his reasons. He quit the day before he was to be deposed and answer hard questions.
Let me ask you this. If that's true, why wasn't anything followed up? If he quit to avoid being asked questions, why wasn't anything ever followed up?
It is my belief that he cut a deal.
And do you have evidence of that, or? It
is my belief that he cut a deal.
Okay, but do you have do you have anything for the voters? Because I mean, that's something. Right now, you're alleging it, and so we're 2 days left of early voting, today and tomorrow. Tuesday is the election day. So
let me just say, I lived part of that, a big part of that. I lived through the Ted Parker audit. I had to go through that audit. I had to go through all of that and settle that. And I also lived through the Martha Ellerbrook issue, which was tied to the Terry Ellerbrook issue. And all of that stems back to Mr. Boren. I think he needs to answer those questions.
But you're bringing it up right now. I don't have him on the show right now.
I understand that,
and
but he's not ever been asked those questions.
Well, in fairness, no one's brought. I mean, you've brought up in a flyer recently.
That's right.
But otherwise, you have not brought it up.
I've also been. It's been stated on this radio station that I'm telling untruths, and I'm not. I lived it.
So then, what draw the connections together, because people are listening. And in fairness, this happened a while back. Not everyone who's listening right now may remember when Gary Boren was on the city council. So draw those 2 points together, bring the picture together, because instead of just throwing out the allegations, tell people what the dots are. Connect the dots.
Connect the dots for Ted Parker.
Connect all the dots for what you're saying, that Gary Boren cut a deal. You're alleging Gary Boren cut a deal to avoid prosecution, right? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying he did not want to answer the hard questions and be deposed.
Okay.
That would have been on the Terry. He was deposed on Ted Parker. He was deposed on that side. He was not deposed on the Terry Ellerbrook issue.
And so, because you said you've been going through this, that you lived it, that you've seen the documents. Is that right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. So
I have.
So then lay it out there. What exactly do we have?
I've seen his deposition.
Okay.
And he, quite frankly, from what I remember, and the deposition was a while back, but he forgot more than he remembered. But it's funny to me that now I hear him and absolutely he remembers everything.
What do you believe he would have been prosecuted for? Or would have had
for Terry Ellerbrook? For what he was going to be deposed on?
Sure.
Crossing the line on, and this is my belief, absolutely, I believe it would have been crossing the line on the charter. Because you can't go in and tell someone to fire someone or tell someone to move someone. As far as city council, you don't get to decide what happens to an employee. That's the city manager's job.
So him going above the city manager.
The charter. Mm-hmm.
Okay.
Crossing the line on the charter.
Okay. About because you've also brought up on a flyer, I believe, the mailer that went out, mm-hmm. that he wrecked the city's health care. Mm-hmm. Is that tied into this?
That would be the Ted Parker issue.
Okay. Talk about that. Because, again, not everyone I don't think everyone knows what you're talking about. When you bring that up, I don't think people know what you're talking about.
During that arena, he was tied to Ted Parker. He did not vote on it. That is absolutely correct. But he did not recuse himself from the discussions. And it is my understanding that he was asked to recuse himself from the discussions and did not do so. If you're going to recuse on a vote, you recuse yourself from the discussions also.
And so how did that lead to him wrecking the health for Lubbock?
It's very complicated.
Sure.
But Ted Parker cost the city millions of dollars. That was all settled. It was all settled. And so without going into what all that was, because it was all settled, and I'm certainly not dishing Ted Parker would never do that, because I believe that was all settled and everything was fixed on that. So I'm not sure legally if I can go into that. I would have to ask our attorneys.
Okay, so what you are accusing...
I'm not accusing him of anything. I'm telling you what I believe.
Well, it sounds like an accusation when you say that he made a deal to not testify under oath, right?
He left the day before he was to testify under oath.
And you believe he made a deal?
I believe that. But
is there any evidence of that? Or is there evidence that you just can't talk about? Because I'm just listen. It's an allegation, and any allegation that someone throws out there. I mean, anyone can throw out an allegation of anything. So where's the evidence?
I'll say I believe it's there.
Okay. 770-5790 1-800-687-0790. When we come back, we'll continue our discussion with Karen Gibson. All right, Chad Hasty Show, News Talk 95.1 FM and 790 AM KFYO. Karen Gibson in studio, running in the Republican primary for Lubbock County Judge. And this morning, you bring up these, and I'm going to call them allegations because that's what they are. And I've had quite a few people who are texting in. We had a drive-by caller. They want, from what they are hearing, they want more proof than what you're offering. Because what it sounds like to a lot of listeners out there is allegations, final few days of early voting, allegations to throw out there. Maybe Gary has a chance to respond. Maybe he doesn't have a chance to respond. But they're not hearing any proof. They're not hearing any concrete evidence, and some listeners don't know what you're talking about. For instance, I received one text message from longtime listener Gail. I've been here for 3 years. I haven't a clue what Karen Gibson is talking about. A lot of people, what the era of counsel you're talking about. Mm-hmm. You know this better than a lot of people. Lubbock's grown a lot since then. Mm-hmm. So, what are you talking about? Paint the picture for the listeners.
Before I came on council, right before I came on council, when during that council that Mr. Boren was on, there was an RFP sent out for insurance, health insurance. Mr. Boren, his has a friend, Ted Parker, who was the third party administrator for our insurance. Mr. Parker got the insurance for the city. The insurance, I'm very limited to what I can talk about, but there's articles everywhere. Ended up being a huge debacle for the city. Huge debacle. And it ended up costing the city millions. But once again, I go back to, I don't understand why he's not being asked these questions.
He's not in here right now.
Well, I understand that. I understand he's not in here.
I'm pretty sure I'll be receiving a call later on from him.
Okay. And that's fine. But, when the FBI gets involved, there's something wrong. There's something big wrong. And I go back to saying I've been on council for 8 years. The FBI has never been involved in anything we've had dealings with, ever. But
are you saying that there is guilt just because the FBI investigated?
No, that I'm not saying. But I am saying there are questions that need to be answered.
And so, and you're sticking with he resigned so that way he would not have to answer questions under oath, and that the reason he never had to answer questions
he did answer questions under oath on that.
Okay, so you're talking
about... He
did
not answer questions under oath on another issue that the city was sued for.
Okay, can you talk about that?
The Terry Elderbrook issue?
Correct.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, because people don't know... There are a lot. I've received a ton of texts, but they don't know who Terry Elderbrook is. They don't know that. They don't know why they should be concerned with Terry.
He was over the water department, and that council didn't like what he was doing, and that council had him removed, and council cannot do that.
And what was Mr. Boren's impact on that? How did he impact?
According to the way that was moving before he resigned to be deposed, he directly ordered him to be removed.
So he went above his authority.
Above his authority, absolutely.
Okay, you're saying he went above his authority, and he was going to be deposed for that, asked questions under oath, and you believe that he made a deal to where he would not have to testify under oath. And that deal included resigning. Okay. So that's
my belief. Yes, sir.
Okay. So let's take that to Lubbock County Judge. Let's finally get around to that.
Okay.
If those are true, that he went above his authority, wanted to fire somebody, wanted to get rid of somebody, why does that make him the worst choice for Lubbock County Judge?
I think the pattern. I think it's a pattern. I think you have to work with people, and you can't just roll over people. I believe you work with people and bring it together. This is a holistic position. You have to work with all other elected officials. You have to work with all employees of the county. And you have to do the judicial. Can he be fair? Can he be trusted? Can he be fair? Can I be trusted? Can I be fair? Yes. I think I am the right person for that position. I've been on council for 8 years. I do believe I am the right person for that position.
Sounds like you don't think he can be trusted.
I know I can be trusted.
Okay.
I know I work with people. I know I can bring people together. I know I can bring the city and county together. And I know that I can work with all the elected officials, all the other commissioners, and bring everyone together and make this a better community.
I had another one of your opponents on earlier this week. He said that we talked about the breakdown judicial versus being a leader and leading the county commissioners as far as other work. He said that about 5 days of the week, maybe, would be dedicated towards the judicial side of things, towards the court side of things. Then 1 day a week or more early mornings, that would be dedicated towards budget, towards roads, towards everything else. Do you think that's good enough?
Once again, I'm going to say I think this is a holistic position. I think you do the judicial. You have your attorneys there. I think it's done with an attorney. Absolutely. You have your attorney there with you. It's done right. It's done by the law. Everything is done correctly. So the budget, the roads, the working with the officials, everything is done. It is a complete job.
Have about a minute left. Tell the voters your final pitch as we go into Election Day.
I think it goes down to experience. It goes down to trust. Who do you trust to do the budget line by line? Who do you trust to work with the sheriff? Who do you trust to work with the other elected officials, the commissioners? Bring everybody together. Make sure the roads are done. Make sure the priorities are set, and make sure everything is taken care of. You still have buildings, roads, everything that needs to be taken care of within the county, and who does it more efficiently.
Karen, tell folks your website where they can find out more information.
I'm on Facebook, Karen Gibson for Lubbock County Judge.
All right, Karen, thank you very much. Appreciate it. Early vote continues today and tomorrow, Election Day on Tuesday.